It's time to start your engines and be part of the conversation. You can always ask the experts, Raffi and Dan Rosenberg, because it's now time for Clutch Radio. The show starts now.
Hey, look at us. We are sitting beside each other.
Yes, we are. I'm beside myself.
We're very close to each other. There's background music. Please ignore it.
Yes.
Hopefully it doesn't get us kicked off of
yes.
You know what.
Yeah.
So here's the track. We'll do a little side. Oh, look at that.
There we go. Oh,
where's the volume button? Look at that. It was that easy.
Important people here.
So we are at the Pacific Raceways.
Yes, we're at the Pacific Raceway. What is the
and of course we start, there's nothing happening.
I know, the minute we started, they're taking a break to freshen the bleach. But we are.
Don't show the barcode. Somebody could steal your ticket.
I didn't. It's down below.
Okay. We're one day, any day. Where am I getting the volume from? I'm hearing some. Oh, it's on this one.
Yeah. So we're at the NHRA Championship Drag Racing Northwest Nationals, and we're at Pacific Raceway. Which, if you've never been here, this is a phenomenal venue. I couldn't believe, Dan, how many trucks were here as we came in. They've got these giant semi trucks that bring in all the top fuel stuff, and they rebuild the engines there right at the track.
And we won't be live. Well, maybe we'll pop in live later, but we'll walk back there and get some footage of that. That we'll either show next week, or we'll go live.
And the sponsorship here, of course, wide range of sponsors. We've got Summit Racing, of course. They're sponsored everywhere, but you've got Camping World here sponsoring, which, and if you think about it, drag racing is kind of a camping sport. If you think about it,
yes. I can't get this to stop doing this.
You need oil to go camping, don't you? So they're cleaning the track right now. So they're on a little bit of a break, but crowds are just starting to come in. The bleachers are filling in. It looks like it's about 50% full here. And it's going to be a warm day. It's going to be in the 80s. And of course, as the track heats up and the ambient air changes, that's going to change the way the cars are dialed in and set for their runs. So they just finished the early bracket, which I don't know how the brackets are set up. There's a schedule over there we might grab. But the earlier cars are the ones. Yeah, there you go. The earlier cars are running 10s. So we just started here. So they're CC here. Oh, there you go.
So you can kind of see what they're doing out there.
Yeah, so they're doing track cleaning now. Those of you that are
Zambonis are out there.
Spark plugs are consumed with each pass. Dan is exactly right. They're not only consumed, sometimes they eviscerate. And so they on these top fuel vehicles, they will make a run and then come back into the pit, and they'll disassemble the engine. They'll rebuild the motor right there.
There's a spider.
Yeah. There's a spider on the wall outside. But they're just amazing, the amount. They're doing 15,000 horsepower on some of these cars. Now, some of the ones that just ran, they're running probably anywhere from 500 to 1,000 horsepower. There may have been some 1,100 to 1,200 horsepower cars, but there was a whole sequence of them wheel standing out of the gate. So there's quite a lot of action here, and not surprising. As we go further and further down the brackets, the cars are gonna get faster. They're gonna get harder to see come off the line, and the excitement's gonna build, as is the volume.
So Adam Jones says, "Good morning, fellow racegoers." He said, "If we look to the left, he's probably right over here somewhere."
Yeah, he's probably in the stands right now.
We're waving at you.
We're waving in the bleachers there. So there's stands on both sides. Oh, and here we go. Look at what's coming up now.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. That's a lot of car right there. So these are, yeah, you can feel the difference in the sound. That sound is vibrating. Now notice these bodies, these new dragster bodies, they've been doing this for several years now. they're skirted down very low to the ground. And the reason why is this improves aerodynamics. Older dragsters, the long wheelbase dragsters, they would potentially lift, get off the ground, to get air underneath them. Not a good situation. These cars are lining up and they're burning out to warm up. And what you'll notice is that on these cars, their tires, their rear tires, appear to be rather small. But when they light them up,
they're going to get huge.
They're going to get bigger. And that actually acts as a gearing advantage to give you better traction, better grip coming off the line.
See, Raffi, like last year we did this show, I was like, look at these. They're cool. They're loud.
So you see how the
tires
diameter, the tires get larger. And as we move further up into the horsepower ratings, you'll see that those tires actually do get quite a bit bigger. Now, some of these cars will have rear airfoils, some of them will not. And most of that, I believe, is dictated by their top speed as they enter the end of the run.
So these two both did an 8.9 in the last run.
Yeah.
So they've got their digital
Now,
readout.
To run 8 to 9 seconds is very impressive. And most of their speed coming off the line is not going to be much greater than what you saw in the earlier bracket. Most of their speed is going to happen as they get further down the track. These guys are warming up. There you go.
So when a car gets 9,000 RPM, okay?
Yeah.
And they're going for 8 seconds.
Yes.
How many RPMs is that? I mean, how many rounds of the engine only turns? Like if you do the math, okay, 8.9 seconds.
Right.
So
if
it's rounds per minute, that's in 60 seconds. So let's say it does 1,000 in 60 seconds.
Right.
In 8 seconds, it's doing a lot less.
Yes. It's doing quite a lot.
I don't have the math down.
But don't forget,
the engine barely turns in these, and then they rebuild the whole engine.
That's right. And there's unless I'm mistaken, on most of these motors, there's no water cooling.
No.
They're just running straight because they're going to heat up, they're going to get very hot, and that's going to be it. They've got all kinds of detonation issues to manage, combustion issues to manage, and these are carbureted. Some of them are injected. I believe this grouping of cars, their injection.
That's what happened.
There's quite a few cars here. I'm surprised how many are lining up here.
They're just doing their warm-ups, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing.
But look how many people it takes to do this. Like they've got their whole crew.
Yep.
And then you've got the broom guy.
Yeah.
On either side, you have the water guy spraying the water down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It takes a village, people.
It does.
It takes a village.
And these guys, they will spend years to get to this level, not only for the training, but for the mechanical efforts, the engineering that it takes to get your car to this level.
And you can't be a large person and do this sport.
Well, it depends. Because these cars are built specific to the driver, but you are adding weight if you're a 200-pound guy and you
or gal.
Thank you.
There are some female drivers for sure.
Thank you. 200-pound driver, then you lose 50 pounds, and that can be an advantage.
And if you're 6'5", you might not fit.
You might not.
Our good friend Todd McCullough, not going to be racing.
Not necessarily
going to fit. Or a 6 foot, 11 and 13/16.
Yeah, well, Dan Gurney was tall, and he was so tall, Ford had to actually build a little bubble onto one of the roofs of the GT40. They called it the Gurney bubble, so that he had enough room so his head would fit inside the car.
Now, this one's up off the ground a little higher than the others.
Yes, it is. It doesn't have the typical skirt, and some of the bodies, the newer bodies, are fully skirted. You notice too that the front wheels, over the years, they've started tracking them tighter and tighter and tighter to the body of the car, and that reduces the frontal area, which improves the aerodynamics.
Yeah, now he's talking about, Dan L says, no engine cooling, got to get him through ASAP before overheating.
That's right.
And I think, where would you put a radiator?
Yeah, you could. And you're just basically running it and getting it done as quickly as possible.
And the front wheels on these are so little.
Yeah, again, it reduces the rolling resistance. They're also narrow, so they don't take up a lot of. And when the car is lit up and it's heading down the track, the contact patch for those front tires is very, very small, quite minimal. And that's again,
that's by design.
It is.
All right, I still don't know what I'm talking about.
It's very, very much an aerodynamic exercise as it is a motorsports exercise.
So we still are doing a regular clutch radio, by the way, even though all this is going on. So if you do have any questions whatsoever about buying, selling, trading, leasing, credit,
or drag racing,
collecting, drag racing, we can attempt to talk about those things.
Yeah.
This is probably the most prepared show we've ever done, because we actually had to, bring special microphones.
Right. Yeah.
Microphones.
Yeah.
It's because I'm like, well, we've never done a show at the same time.
And we wore black shirts.
We wore the black shirts because it's only going to be 85 degrees here in about an hour.
Right. So we want to be sure to be wandering around in black shirts.
Yeah.
Now, you'll also notice that the drivers are positioned approximately they're mid to the front and rear wheels. And so your engine is rear engine, but it's actually mid rear engine. And Don Garlitz was one of the first drag racers to run a rear engine dragster. And the reason why was when Garlitz was running his last front engine dragster, it turned out that this was the way to go for so many drag racers. And it had been that way for so many years. But Don took off from the starting line, and the engine exploded. It grenaded. And the transfer case between the engine and the gearbox exploded, and it severed the top half of his, I believe, right foot.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and so after that, Don
called him Lefty.
Well,
oh sorry.
After that, he said that engine is riding in the back, because if the engine blows or anything grenades, and that does happen, they will. Any of that impact will happen behind the driver.
I'm guessing they don't have reverse.
They do not have reverse.
By the fact that they just push them back.
Yeah. And I don't know the weight of this class vehicle, but you can be certain that at least 50 to 60% of it is in the engine and the driver. And that's why they put them in the middle, because your mass in the center helps improve traction and helps keep the vehicle stable, especially at the speeds these cars will be going. You'll also notice that there's a full roll cage, and this is thick diameter steel that is rolled over the top of the driver. There's both rear rollover in the back of the driver's helmet, and then two that go across or transversely across the top. If the dragster rolls over, that rollover protection will protect the driver, and that roll bar continues down into the main section, which operates as a safety cage for the driver as well.
I had no idea you knew so much about NHRA.
Well, there you go.
Raffi knows a little bit about everything.
If it has a motor, I know about it. You'll also notice that some of these cars are heavily sponsored.
Yes, some not at all. Like that one has 0 stickers. This guy looks like he's been endorsed by everybody.
Right, and these endorsements oftentimes come in the form of contributions to help fund the racing. They also will come with equipment, supplies, sometimes engine equipment, and you run the sponsors' logos and decals on your car as a form of advertising and promotion, which helps to subsidize the exorbitant costs of racing. The vehicles you see here, some of them, they're in excess of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that includes your crew. It includes the vehicles themselves and the cars you're seeing here. Oftentimes, they're not the only car. They are sometimes part of a multiple fleet of cars where they can exchange engines, exchange tires, exchange things to.
Now, this other car running on the far lane.
Yes.
Different car.
Different car. That's
it's not a funny car.
Well, you'll.
Is it? No, that's not a funny car, because the funny cars.
The funny car typically has the body will lift up and off, right, hinged at the rear. It could be. We don't know. Looking at it from here, we'd have to see what the body's made of. But depending on the horsepower rating and the class that the car is in, these two can run against each other. But generally speaking, you don't see them running against each other. You'll usually see them paired in similar vehicle classes.
And just looking at, again, this guy, tons of stickers. This guy's got a few stickers.
Yeah.
Like Sunoco. Does that mean you can only use Sunoco gas? Well, is that what that means? Or does it mean, well, he had 5.5 runs?
Yeah. It means that that
I guess they do have reverse.
Oh, maybe they do.
I guess they do have reverse. See, yeah. Now we learn.
There might be. Yeah.
Maybe they didn't want to waste the reverse. I guess they have to reverse because when they do this backup thing.
Yeah.
All right, I take that back. I learn every day.
Well, and that vehicle may have been pushed back because the driver he was too close to another vehicle behind them. These are not the most efficient.
No backup camera
on their brakes. Now you said this one was at 5.5. The time.
So Bob Moss's funny cars have the engine in front of the driver. Yeah, we know that, but the one engine, it was a car with the engine in front.
Yeah.
But it had a big blower, and it did not look like a typical funny car design.
Well, and gassers have the engine in front. Railers
top fuel is rear engine, funny cars front engine. That's what Bob Moss is saying.
Okay.
So is this a funny car then? The Mustang that's coming up, the green Mustang?
It could be, if the engine's in the front.
Engine's in the front, but is that the only qualification?
I don't think so. I think there's another qualification for. I thought funny was, they call them the floppers, where the body opens up and down. I thought those were the original funny cars, and they called them funny cars because I believe early on they altered the wheelbase on the cars, and so they looked funny. And I think that's the origin of the term funny car, because it didn't look like a stock car. It looked like a funny car. And I think that was the origin of the term.
And that was stand-up comedy?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Funny cars were different from railers. They used to call these cars railers because they were just a frame built out of rails or frame rails, and the engine, so it was very, very minimal. So railers and funny cars, those are terms from, I think, the 60s. And then, as Bob mentioned, top fuel is rear engine. Absolutely. But the way these cars are lighting off, wow, it's pretty impressive. There you go. There's
yeah, I wouldn't call that a funny car, because it's obviously it doesn't lift off.
I'm going to take a photo here.
It's an ugly Mustang.
Well, it was a Mustang. It's quite a little different.
Would that be considered a funny car? Super comp? Funny cars, yeah. We're asking the peanut gallery.
Yeah. So I had always thought we can wait to hear from our listeners, but so we've got other
background noise is fine.
So we got a couple of comments in here. Dan was talking about Garlett's began that. Absolutely right. We talked about that. Big difference from rear tires from 60s racing. Slicks are super soft tires today. True.
Rails, not railers. Boy, Bob's just taking you to school today.
No, they're railers. I'll have to check that.
But they have rails.
Yes, they do have rails.
But they're called railers.
Yeah.
See, you can both be right. You're both pretty.
Let's see how the Mustang does here. But these guys, they're coming off the line, but they're light. They're running light once they're coming off, and I'm not sure why.
I think there's warm-ups. right?
Test
This,
pass.
yeah, this none of this is.
Could be. Yeah, there's. I don't know how much of the sound you guys can hear. Dan or Bob, can you tell us?
Well, we know how much sound Adam has because
Dan Adam's there.
he's in front of the 300-foot line.
Oh, okay. Which is a great spot to be because the cars light off and then you can see them building their traction.
Yeah, so he's probably right down there.
Yeah.
We'll have to find Adam later.
Boy,
some of the cars have big sponsorships, and some of
Yeah.
the cars have, like that car over there has got a bunch of endorsements, but the car itself doesn't have any identification on it.
Well, and you'll see that
We should get a clutch radio car next time.
Well, we can sponsor a car. That's always possible. You can also, you'll see that some of these cars will have a single sponsor, a big sponsor, and that oftentimes will be the owner of the vehicle, or they might have a business and they use racing to support their business. Maybe they're an engine shop, maybe they're a machine shop, maybe they sell tires. But this is a great way to promote your business and also come out and have a heck of a lot of fun. Racing is first and foremost, it's a fun experience for the people that are involved in it. It's become, of course, a profitable entity, like a lot of sports activities. But the majority of the people here are here to have fun. And believe me, there's nothing more exciting than lining up and getting ready. Your adrenaline is building, the motor's going, you're thinking about what's at stake and getting ready to run your race. It's pretty amazing, and it's all done in a matter of seconds. So you'll spend years to build up to this event, and then it finishes in a matter of seconds.
There's a joke I could do right there, but I won't.
Now, one of
not that kind of show.
Not that kind of show. Now, one of the things to think about here, as I try to divert from that comment.
Well, it's like Disneyland. We'll go with that. Wait in line for like 3 hours, then you're on a ride for like 10 minutes.
There you go.
All right.
Again,
nothing like your honeymoon.
A 10-minute ride. Is that what it was?
All right, we'll let that one go.
Okay. Now, something that comes up frequently when I talk to people about drag racing, especially, many people say, well, I mean, is this really a sport? All you're doing is sitting behind the wheel and holding the steering wheel straight. No, there's a tremendous amount of effort involved in this. It's a very, very physical sport, extremely physical. You're dealing with G-forces, there's pressures and tensions on the body. There's a significant amount of strategy and thinking that goes into building these cars at the level that they've built them. And the drivers not only have to know how to keep that car straight, they got to listen to that engine. They got to hear what's going on, because in the few seconds that they're out there, every second they're out there, their lives are at stake.
I feel like the Fred Willard character today.
Yeah.
I feel like, like I'm just coming up with these ridiculous comments. Like, look at this guy. He's got no friends.
Very spendy hobby sponsors help offset that. Absolutely. And sponsorships, again, really important, not just for the drivers and the car owners, but important for the people who run the venues and people who come out and support the activities here.
Like this guy, he's got no sponsors and very few stickers.
Right.
Like the red guy.
Yeah, and he may be new, or he could be privately funded, or this could be one of the first series of races that he's done in this class, and it gives him a chance to get out there and show what he can do. You come out here and you're successful as a racer, and people start to pay more attention. They say, well, if they're going to have wins, we want our sponsorship to be on a winning car.
Yeah, like this guy's got nothing.
Yeah.
Now that guy does have flames on his blower up on top.
Yes.
And to quote Carol 7, Carol, if you're watching, I'm going to use your joke. He said he wants. There was a car that had flames on the side. He got out of the car and he started spraying it off with a fire extinguisher. She's like, dude, I totally thought your PT Cruiser was on fire. And so he's actually going to buy a PT Cruiser now with flames on it.
Now,
so it's a tax write-off.
Now you mentioned that the.
Hey, Sam's here. Hey, Sam.
Oh, hey, Sam.
Also known as Boob Guy, the sitcom It's a Lie.
Ah, there you are.
I have a glandular disorder.
Now you mentioned the air intake on top of the blower. I don't believe these cars are blown. I think they are injected or carbureted. I don't think there's a supercharger on there.
But what is that big thing on the top?
That's the air intake.
Okay, so it's not a blower, it's a sucker.
It's a sucker. You could call it that. And in fact, you'll see that the reason why it's positioned up above the driver's head is as air comes off the front windscreen, it's trailing back quite fast. And that's the spot, the high spot where you want to be to absorb the most air. You can capture a lot of air that way. Now, there's new developments in drag racing that include compressed air as the induction. So the atmospheric air is what the car runs on when it's in the pits and warming up and everything. But then the butterfly closes and the engine runs on compressed air, which improves the performance dramatically. And you don't have to worry about balancing to the ambient air temperatures or the altitude or anything like that.
Because it will be hot today.
It will be hot today, absolutely.
Now here we've got some different cars coming. We have a Camaro.
Yeah.
And a Nova.
No,
Impala.
That looks like a Dodge.
Is that a Dodge? That looks like a Chevy.
No, I don't think so.
You're right. The back looks like a Dodge, but the grill looks like a Chevy.
Yeah, I think that's either a Dodge or a Plymouth. But it's a Mopar, I believe, just based on the roof line. That fender line looks also. The other one, of course, is well, you can't say late model Camaro.
That's like an 85 Camaro.
Yeah.
Late model. Raffi is so old.
That's what happens when you grew up in the 70s.
Sam wants to know if you can put a sucker on his Mazda. Yeah, you can put a hood scoop on that'll scoop in more air.
Yeah, but oftentimes, depending on where you put it, it may not be the most efficient way of getting air. Modern cars get much more efficient air below the bumper line, or at least contemporary sedans. You wouldn't necessarily put one of those up there, though you do see on SUVs that do a lot of driving in the desert where there's a high level of dust. They'll put the sucker up above. So they might put a hose that goes up to the top of the car, and then they'll put the intake.
Well, they do say a sucker's born every minute.
Well, there you go. That's either a Dodge or a Plymouth.
Yeah, look at the back now. I see it. But didn't the front grille look like an Impala grill?
It did
Maybe
look
they
like
just threw a different grill on.
Could be. You never know.
Now this has a ton of stickers.
Yes. And you'll see that some of these cars, they have little bars sticking out the back and plastic wheels on those little bars. Those are called wheelie bars.
See, that I knew. I was going to answer that.
And so the car takes off and it gets traction to the rear wheels and the front end lifts up. So you want to prevent the car from lifting up too high, and those wheelie bars and wheelie wheels will hold the car down.
Wheels.
Yeah, that transfers the load so that it's going back down to the rear wheels, and then the car settles down and you get traction.
And this guy doesn't have them on his.
No, some of them don't have
He's
them.
taking a selfie.
Huh?
Is he taking a selfie? Or are they checking?
He's checking the air temperature, maybe.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it looks
so
like
these cars are the ones that were running when we got here.
Yes.
Remember this Malibu from earlier?
Yeah. There you go. See how he lifted? Yeah. The wheelie bars do their job. Puts them down.
Yeah. That's a modern Camaro right there.
Yes, but that has wheelie bars. This one does not.
What would happen if he popped a wheelie? Would he flip over?
Most likely what happens is if he rises up that high, he'll bottom out against the bumper. But at that point, you come off the throttle to bring your front end down if you're that high. Hopefully he's modulating his throttle so that he doesn't have to worry about.
You want to modulate your throttle.
Well,
whenever possible.
Yes.
And he says that's a brand new shiny red super stock Dodge.
There you go. Thank you, Bob. Yeah.
He says he gets his kicks above the bumper line, baby. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Or Dirk. Sorry, Dirk.
Dirk.
Go with your character name. Dirk.
There you go. Yeah, so he lifted. Yeah. We're backing up here so that we can see a little further down the track.
Probably should have sat there because, oh well.
That's a 60s something Nova. A lot of Chevys out here. Chevrolet, of course, very well known for their participation in drag racing with their 427.
You can feel the rumble right now.
327, one of the 350. Many of the cars out here use the 350, and then everybody in the major automotive groups, Ford, Chevy, and Chrysler. Chrysler, well known for the Hemi engine, which they developed in the 50s. And the engine that you'll see out here most frequently in Top Fuel will be the Keith Black Hemi. And that Hemi is based on the original Hemi developed.
Not the JB
Chrysler.
Smooth Neon Black.
That's the
Hemi.
Completely different. And oh, look what we've got coming up here. We've got a 1970 CUDA. Speaking of Mopar, that is a 340 CUDA, and these were really, really popular cars. That's a 73. You can tell by the side marker lights, and that's got the dual snorkel hood. A lot of them with the Hemi came with the shaker hood.
So dual snorkel hood, that's double sucker.
Double sucker, yes. If the hood vents have been removed and it's breathing through the vents. I'll tell you what, that Mustang is very fast. We were watching that one earlier. Very fast. And they're doing the burnout.
Look at this guy just walking through it. Like
walking through the burnout. Well, you don't have the camera. Can the camera see some of the burnout? I can.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit. Okay, good.
Let me see if I can actually adjust this to it.
Let's see how that 340 CUDA does. Now you see the stripe on the back of that rear fender? That was called the hockey stick stripe. Back in 1970 and 71.
Oh, there we go.
70 had the hockey stick stripe. So that's a 1970 stripe on a 1973 CUDA. But in 1971, they changed that and they went with what they called the billboard stripe. The billboard stripe was this giant stripe, like a billboard that had the engine on it. And the best car of all had the Hemi billboard.
This is a old Sierra.
Good. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is an old Sierra.
That's not your grandmother's Oldsmobile right there.
It's not, and most likely that doesn't have an Oldsmobile engine in it anymore. Let's see how the CUDA does. Not bad. You know, you get spoiled by watching some of these really fast cars, and a car that's going to do that car is probably going to run in the 12 to 13s. It seems slow after you see some of the.
These are two Oldsmobiles beside each other.
Yeah.
73.
Yep.
And probably a 90.
Yeah. Is that the Cutlass?
I think that is an old Cutlass down there. The red one.
Could be. We got
far side.
We got Bob out there. We'll ask Bob, and Bob can maybe identify.
I can't find them in the camera.
It's hard to tell without all the. And what's interesting about many of these cars, they're still running their bumpers, stock taillights, everything. They're stock-bodied cars that have had some modifications. Obviously, nearly all these cars have been tubbed, and tubbing, by the way, is where you cut out the rear wheels to put in larger slicks, and you create basically a tub for the wheel to fit inside.
The pickup truck.
Yeah.
It's got a tonneau cover there.
Yep. And you
They're
want
not using that to go to the dump.
No, they're not. But you want that bed covered because that's an air trap. And if you're running for your fastest time, you don't want the air to slow you down. A lot of guys, if they run stock like El Caminos or pickup trucks with the truck bed in it, they'll drop the tailgate. That lets the air out of the back. So you run with the tailgate dropped on a pickup, and you'll have faster time, unless your pickup is covered with a tonneau cover.
Now, Adam asked a question about, he's a little confused as to why some cars get a head start.
So they're running with what's called a handicap. So they're modulating the tree to let the car that has a little bit more power to run later. So they're not necessarily running against each other right off the reaction time. They're running separate reaction times, and they're running at a handicap depending on how.
And sometimes they're just going early because they get the red light at the bottom, which means they jump the light.
That's right.
Sam says this is the coolest show. Thank you, Sam. This is one of our cooler annual shows.
Well, and
live from the racetrack here in Seattle.
It's really exciting. Now, you know, we talk a lot about buying and selling cars. Any of the cars out here, they're going to cost you literally tens of thousands.
I mean, you got a Grand Am and a Cavalier, right?
Yes.
Not a Cavalier. What was the one after the Cavalier?
But some of these, Cutlass.
No, the Chevy. I forget the name of it.
Well, we had a wagon out here.
Cobalt. Thank you, Martin.
It's a good thing we've got our research staff on hand here to assist with some of these things. So the cost to build these are so high that many of these race car
Chevy
drivers,
Cobalt's $300. You can get a Chevy Cobalt.
You can, but that's not what you're
not
spending
with
the
not
money
with the
on.
engine.
You're going to end up spending thousands and thousands of dollars. These engines are going to cost you $20,000-$30,000 minimum to get to run at this level. Now, when you're done with it and you move on to a faster car, that's your opportunity to start by buying a car that's already been prepped.
Might be a quad 4.
There you go. There you go.
The old Calais had the quad 4.
Yes. Yeah. So really, and this comes back to the days where you run what you brung.
Well, so I had that car,
the Mustang.
I had the exact. It was an '88 Mustang that looks like the same exact car.
Yeah, and both these Mustangs, you see the newer one here and the one over there. Both these Mustangs chase back to 1964 and a half.
Yeah, they go for the original look.
That's right.
Ooh, the Calais popped a wheelie.
So the first Mustang with production year 1965 was amazing. It was so popular they sold 1 million of them within a year. That's how popular the Mustang was. And you know, we often hear about people waiting outside to get an Apple iPhone. People slept outside overnight to get the first Mustang, to walk into the dealership and order their brand new Mustang.
Think about, people used to go sit outside just to see the new car when they unveiled it in the showroom.
Yeah.
Like that just doesn't happen anymore.
Well, there's not as much excitement over buying a new car, probably because of the internet. It exposes things a little bit earlier. People get used to it a little bit earlier. They see it more frequently. So the impact is reduced. You saw that Fox-bodied Mustang got a substantial head start over the other one, and the other one is passing it quite a bit.
Yes.
So
now, there's more cars coming. I was going to say we have a little break coming up. I want to talk a little Polestar story. All these cars are just showing up now.
Yeah. Let's I'm going to get a shot here. That's some cool looking Corvette there.
It looks like the Batmobile almost. You got a little pickup truck over there, modified.
Yeah.
Ford.
Yeah.
I can tell that because on the back it says Ford. This is my knowledge base.
These are highly modified cars. But again, it's fun to see these cars. It's fun to see the clever engineering that goes into building these cars. Tremendous amount of time, thoughtful work that's done not only on the design of the car, the exterior look of the car, but also the engineering. And
something went wrong on that one. They both kind of slowed down and took off.
Well, they may be just testing their launch. And these cars, now we're getting to much more expensive vehicles. The commitment here is substantial to get the level of speed and performance that these guys are getting. And again,
what's amazing though is the paint jobs. They
yeah,
all have amazing paint jobs.
sure.
And that alone, thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yes, and many of the people who campaign cars here, they have their own auto body shops. They have their
We're cool people.
they work with auto body people so they can get the cars custom painted. A lot of people, again, this is the life of racing is oftentimes a family commitment. So resources are spent on things that you and I would be shocked about, but it's all part of the commitment. And the paint and the representation, it's part of what the team is putting together. It's like a uniform for a baseball team.
Yeah.
You get out there and you wear your uniform and you wear it with pride, just like every one of these drivers and owners does.
Well, Sam has a question here that we missed earlier. He floored his Mazda CX-5 once, did not get any squealing tires. Is that because it's all-wheel drive? Also anti-lock, or not anti-lock brakes, but it's got probably limited slippage type stuff, and it's made
Probably
to not
has
do that.
traction control.
Tracks, that's the word I was looking for.
So it would help protect you from doing a burnout.
This guy's got a pole in his thing, and he almost took out the guy's legs.
Oh, now you'll see there's a 57 Chevy body back on the opposite side coming up.
It looks like Grease
staging.
Lightning.
Yeah. Now
Waiting for the song to break out.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
A little dream sequence.
That's that is probably a fiberglass, molded fiberglass body that's been done in the style of the 57 Chevy.
It's this one back there. It's so quiet all of a sudden. Too.
It does, yeah.
Like you can't be like, are these cars on right now?
Are they what?
Are they running?
These two
Or
should
are they starting
be.
them back up?
Maybe they're going to start them up, but you'll see the driver of the Camaro. He's opened the door
Get some air in there.
to cool off because it does get warm in there, and I can guarantee
There it
you they
goes.
don't have air conditioning. Now, the fact that he opened his door and closed it, we used to refer to those as door slammers. So if you brought a car to the track that was a door slammer, it meant that you had not gotten rid of the hinges, which are heavier, cast metal on a metal bodied car, and you bolted them shut. So you climb in and out of the car, or you do a single
Dukes of Hazzard style.
body, a single fiberglass body molded, which is lighter weight than the steel body. So a fast door slammer is impressive because you're getting a significant amount of speed out of a car that's still carrying around factory metal. Whoa! Oh, there you go. That's a little bit of a problem. So you see that the 57 Chevy or the 57 body Chevy
Jump lanes.
well, he got close to the double line, and that happens because this is where the skill and precision comes from the drivers. This is not a simple thing to do. People think, how hard can it be to keep the car going in a straight line? It's a lot harder than you think, especially with the amount of G-forces pressing on your body as you're coming out of the chute. We got Camaro, and then also, hey guys, and then we've also got a late-bodied Corvette over there. And again, you can see the protective roll cage that wraps
You got a
around the
Firebird
entire
here, it
top.
looks like.
Yeah, Firebird or Camaro, similar body. That's the F body series cars that started, I believe, in
Watch your
'85.
F body.
One of the most expensive pieces of production glass by General Motors was in the Firebird and Camaro F body series cars. PPG spent millions of dollars developing that.
Here we go. Let's see what happens here.
There you go.
Lots of smoke.
There's some pretty impressive cars coming up here.
We probably won't go a whole hour today because it's starting to get loud. You know, it's going to have.
Well, we're getting close. It's 45 minutes.
I guess, oh, it is already. Wow.
Too much wheelie. Yes, Bob Moss. That does happen. You get too much wheelie. You don't want wheelie because wheelie time reduces the traction and reduces your ability to get down the.
I red lighted.
Yeah. You want that car to stay on the ground, making traction. There you go.
What body is that?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't recognize any part of that car. Now, the other one on the other end, of course, is Corvette. But these are very exaggerated bodies. These are bodies that are single shell fiberglass, very thin. They're molded usually in a single piece. Some of them will have detail marks on them so that people can identify, for example, this white and maroon one, obviously C7 Corvette. Oh, maybe that's a C6. Yes.
That's a 6.
Yeah. I'll catch that before Bob does.
We know Jake's at a race today, so he's not watching. But we'll be watching the rerun, and I'm sure as soon as you said that, he's like, C6.
Yep. C6 beginning, I believe, 97. And then C7 coming after that. And then the C8 is a mid-engine. Now, you don't see mid-engine cars here in this group. Most of these cars are front-engine. And then we'll get to the mid-rear bias, where they are rear-engine, but they're mid-bias. So there you go. Yeah. Okay.
Sam wants to know who would win a race, the Corvette or the Millennium Falcon?
Well, probably off the line, the Corvette would win because the Millennium Falcon
takes a while to go light speed.
It's a very heavy vehicle. Yeah. Now, speaking of Corvettes, we've got another one staging here. This is it's
like
supposed to look like a 58 or 59. It could also be a 60.
I don't know Corvettes that well,
but the basic body lines, that's a vintage Corvette, 58, 9, or 60. And these were very popular cars when Chevrolet built them. And they did a tremendous amount of drag racing when they came out. Now, this was, of course, highly modified. And they're running high performance engines. These are running probably 1,000 to 1,500 horsepower, maybe more. Some of these may be higher horsepower. And then we've got a what is that car coming up question.
This one right here?
See if we can stump Raffi. No?
That's a Corvette.
That is a Corvette.
I can tell by the taillights.
That's a C6. But we got another one coming up, which should be interesting. You can take a look at that and see if our listeners can identify.
Well, let's do this then.
And now it's time to stump Raffi.
All right, let's see if we can stump me. We've got entering the staging now. We've got a rainbow-colored little car here. Now, does anyone know what this is?
Anglia.
Yes.
Wow.
Good job from the research group. That is an Anglia. This is a British Ford.
Ron Erickson with the win.
From the 50s. This is a British Ford from the 50s. And people.
Oh, he's got his shoes on.
Drag racers loved the Anglia because it was a lightweight little car. You could put a big motor in it and have an awful lot of fun. So in the tradition of the Anglia, there it is again. Now, in addition to the Anglia,
These
having
people are
been
happy.
run,
Look how happy these people are over here.
there was
Because
also,
he didn't die.
There was also a little Fiat, the
You got
Fiat
to see it.
Topolino, that ran in the gasser class.
What happened?
Oh,
Why
and
do they
back.
call it Manglia?
Manglia.
Manglia. Oh, that's funny. I
Yeah,
can't zoom in far enough, but it says
Yeah.
Manglia.
there you go. So the Ford Anglia, the British Ford,
Is it an Anglia Saxton?
it could be. Let's see how it does. That's the short wheelbase car.
Very short.
Yeah. Oh, look at it go.
Wow.
Nice. Great traction. Great little hole shot off there. Now we got another pickup against a C3 Corvette or C2 Corvette. Yeah, that's a C2, I believe. And then we got what looks like a 37 Ford, highly modified 37 Ford hot rod, coming up against a very modified Camaro.
So the thing is, by the way, we're behind double pane glass
Yeah.
in an air-conditioned room.
Yes,
We're spoiled.
we are spoiled,
Thank you, Ron. And Dia.
but we're part of the talent.
Did you use finger quotes?
No.
So apparently this crew, they all got the memo, wear the same t-shirt today.
Yeah, they sure did.
Just in case. Although I guess Raffi and I also did that with their black shirts. Oh, they're pissed. The crew chief is pissed.
Yeah.
Oh, but now he's happy.
Yeah, these are.
See, look at the emotions.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster. He has no idea he's on camera. And... All right, enough of him.
Well, we've got a lot to look forward here to today, and what we're going to do is we're going to wander out into the area that where the cars are being set up, being built, being put together, being rebuilt after they do runs, and we're going to walk around. We're going to look at the pits, and we're going to talk to people, and just be fascinated at the amount of work that goes on here.
And also all the merchandise.
The merchandise, yes. The tools alone will fascinate you.
Let's go back to the comments. What kind of fuel are they using? Is it 100%, 100 low lead mixture of nitrous and gasoline?
So they're definitely running racing fuel. Some of them will run a higher or a different grade of fuel. Some classes will run different. Some will run
Here's the shirt
race
brigade.
fuel or premium race fuel. Now they're coming out to clean it.
Here comes the last guy, then the Zambonis come out.
The Zambonis are out. Well, this is probably going to be a good time to wrap up our show.
Now look at these things. So they have big wheels on the back.
Yes.
Goodyear tires.
Yes, and even the Zambonis are custom painted. Yeah.
So they sweep and then they skid up the track. Is that what happens?
I think what those rear tires do is they may go out and work the track a bit. I know they scrub it, they brush it.
They lay some rubber down?
Yeah. Because it's important. If you have rubber on rubber for the traction going down, you'll get
inappropriate material.
You'll get better traction.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
They do what? Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
So they clean and treat at the same time. Well, I think that's a perfect point to say
the clean and treat.
they scrub the rubber remnants.
Yes. Also, Topolino, says Bob Moss. He's absolutely right. We mentioned the Topolino. Topolino is Italian little mouse.
Oops, let's do this. All right.
Scrub the rubber remnants. There you go.
Well, if you have any final questions before we end the show, I think this is a perfect time to end it.
It sure is. We got
if you do stay tuned, probably we might come back live later in the day. We might just go live for no reason. Or
try.
We may we're going to definitely record a bunch of stuff that we'll show on next week's show.
Yeah. Fantastic.
All right.
We're looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us. Thanks everybody for being here. This is a great place. We were really fortunate to be able to come here today, and we're going to get out there, take a look around.
Yes, thank you to Dia and to Ron.
Yeah,
for not only getting us in, but driving us in their little cart.
Yes,
we zipped right in. We were cart people.
Yes, that was great.
And final questions. Nice seeing you.
Yes.
And thanks for the show.
Thank you. Adam, thanks for joining us.
We'll try to see you in person at some point today as well. All right, here goes the old guy washing his car.
Oh, see ya.